My name is Clay Williams. Am I recording? Wait. Yes. My name is Clay Williams, and this is People Talks, presented by Canal Pursuit Productions. The idea behind People Talks is that everyone has a story, and everyone's story has value. People Talks is a mixture of people with lived experience and people who work in the health and fitness fields, one speaker each week. This week's speaker is Claire Knight. Claire lives and works in Dufferin County and is a licensed realtor with her husband, Dave Crow. She's also a registered holistic nutritionist. I added an extra syllable there, didn't I? And holds an honors bachelor's of science degree in kinesiology. Through retailer education, radio interviews, and advertorials, Claire speaks about physical and psychological health as linked to stress, sleep, energy, nutrition, and detoxification, consistently making the connection between physical health and mental health. Starting on May 4th, 2020, Claire had planned an 800-kilometer pilgrimage over 30 days along the Camino de Santiago to raise money for Community Mental Health Association of Canada and to raise awareness of mental health or mental illness and suicide. Unfortunately, COVID has postponed the pilgrimage until it's safe to do it. Claire is also the co-founder, along with Jennifer Price, of the Share Your Silver Lining initiative to raise positivity, awareness, and funds for CMHA. It was started in January 2021 and is currently running on social media. There will be links at the end of the video. Thanks so much for joining me, Claire. It's been a while since we talked in person.
It has. Thanks for having me, Clay.
Could you start out by sharing some of your story? Who are you and how did you get here?
Well, as you know, my name is Claire, and I grew up with a mom with a mood disorder and a brother who has schizophrenia. So my brother currently lives with my dad, who's 80, and my brother is 41. So that is an ongoing daily struggle between my dad and brother. And, you know, I just in the last week have actually got my mom into a retirement home. Unfortunately, it took her falling and breaking her hip a few weeks ago. But, you know, we struggle every day. I struggle every day with her even now. And, you know, I also have children that have that struggle with mood disorders. So it's very near and dear to my heart as far as mental health. Even though my training and my education is physical health and human physiology, even when I was in university, I was constantly taking psychology courses to try and better understand. And, you know, I think that even though my main job is real estate and my training is human physiology, I feel that, you know, it's important to inspire other people, and it's important to do my best within the community to really give back and to have people focus on the importance of mental health, especially. It's funny that this all started pre-pandemic with me as far as my initiative, and you and I pre-pandemic. But it's kind of, you know, people need it more now than ever before. And we need to, you know, lean on each other. We need to talk. We need to, it's like I said up on my screen, it's okay to not be okay, you know, but we need to, you know, we need to go and know that it's okay to see a therapist just as much as it's okay to go and see our medical doctor. And I think we need to talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I visited my chiropractor today. I'm a regular to kind of keep me in shape. This old body needs a little help to stay in running shape. But one of the things we talked about was that he noticed, as a chiropractor, he noticed a definite shift in people's moods, right? In people's outlooks and positivity, and people are getting really tired, and people who were struggling a little bit before are struggling a lot now, right?
Absolutely. It's so important right now to support the people that are around us. I know I have 4 teenagers, and my teenagers are really struggling. I have one that is first year university this past year, one that's first year high school this past year. They had very, very different experiences in their first year of high school and university. Neither of them got to experience a graduation.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different time. I've got a senior mom who's isolated. And I think it's affecting the seniors and the children. It's affecting the first responders. And I sit on the Suicide Awareness Council of Wellington Dufferin, and we're seeing that, you know, we really need to put some emphasis and some help and support into our communities when it comes to mental health and suicide prevention as well.
Yeah, for sure. One of the conversations I had recently with National Program Director with Mood Disorder Society of Canada, it will have aired last week, but it had to do with people being a little bit more open. So we've had a little progress. We definitely need a lot of work in Canada's mental health care, air quotes, system. But I think when you look at the news in the past year that we've seen about the decline of the average state of mental health of Canadians over the past year, I think part of the good news in that is that people are okay talking about not feeling quite as good as they did. I imagine 15, 20 years ago, when you ask most people how they feel compared to last year, how I feel, that's none of your business. Or, you know, you would get a digital response, I feel fine, or I feel absolutely terrible. Now we're seeing incremental, so a little more openness to speaking about it, right? And I think that there's definitely a ton of stigma, and there's definitely a lot of work in that area that needs to be done yet. And that's why you plan to hike the Camino Trail. What was that planning and that whole, and the training and all of that?
Yeah, it was 18 months of training and planning, and it's not easy to take 6 weeks off work, unpaid, to save money for it and get all your gear together, because to carry one backpack every day for 800 kilometers, 30 kilometers a day for 5-6 weeks, there's a lot of planning involved. So speaking about mental health, I think I was in denial the first, right up until the day I was supposed to go. I still was determined I was still going to go. And, I remember the day where I finally came to terms with it. And I was like, wow, this really isn't going to happen. So, and then I decided I'd do it in October. We get this virus over and done with, and I'll do it in October. And then I actually booked to do it in February, and it didn't help. It didn't work either. So, but I think the Camino track under Claire's Hike for Hope, I did a lot of fundraising before the pandemic hit, and I was still able to raise a lot of funds by doing seminars and talks on the connection with the physical health and the mental health. And I think that's even more so important right now, because a lot of us have been in lockdown. A lot of us have been working from home, and sedentary, we're not getting even the average recommended 10,000 steps a day. We're getting the 10 steps to the kitchen and the 10 steps to the bathroom and the 10 steps into the bedroom again. And there's a lot of people that have put on weight, or they are just not feeling good about themselves. And it's not just showing up and manifesting itself as far as physical weight. It also manifests itself in other areas of the body when you're not moving, right? And that movement, you're a runner, you know how important movement is. And with the pandemic and with the lockdowns, we're not doing that average daily just moving from place to place that we do because we're taking kids to sports and we're going to work. And and this sedentary lifestyle is affecting us mentally as well. It's not just what's going on in the news, it's the lack of mobility, right? And so that's a lot about what I talk about from my perspective as a kinesiologist and a personal fitness trainer in the past, is the importance of moving and what we're putting into our body as far as diet and how that's linked to how we feel, right? And I don't know about you, but some days when I'm really stressed and really anxious, I'll sit and think about, okay, am I really stressed and really anxious because of this specific problem and this specific event that's happening in my life? Or I have to check in with myself. What have I eaten today?
Mhm.
Have I had breakfast this morning? Maybe I'm feeling this way because I'm not getting enough nutrients in my body
Mhm.
and I'm so busy I haven't taken the time to eat properly, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The feeling of anxiety, the natural tendency is to follow that and make it worse, right?
Right.
Because you get very introspective um, and fretting, and then that becomes a problem that you worry about. But yeah, it's awesome
Absolutely. And
to
I
be able to see that and be able to recognize that that's kind of coming on and do a check, right?
Right. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that the body and the brain recognizes it as anxiety, but it's actually hunger, right?
Hmm.
It's actually lack of nutrients.
Right.
So I think we do need to sometimes check in with ourselves and think about what did I eat this morning? What did I eat yesterday? Am I getting the right nutrients for my brain? Is this really anxiety about this specific situation or circumstance, or am I just not handling it very well because I'm hungry?
Mhm. So your your background, your training is kind of in a few different areas. As you said, physical wellness area, but um, um, you talk about um, the physical, the connection between physical health and mental health. That I think we're hearing quite a bit more about. Maybe in the last year, maybe I'm hearing more about it because it just makes sense to me, and it's so sensible, right? Um, do you have any um, um, sense of, well, we've already talked about it a little bit, how things are a little bit worse right now due to COVID and all the things, and any suggestions for people who find themselves um, now physically lethargic in their changed worlds, um, or mentally, let's say, confused and stressed and so on. Um, yeah,
Absolutely. I
that's a
always look
wide
at,
open area.
yeah, so I always talk about the four pillars of health.
Okay.
And if you think of your overall health and wellness like a chair that has four legs, and if any one of those legs is not stronger, that as strong as the rest, or is broken, or there's something wrong with it, what happens? The chair falls over, right? So your body and your overall wellness is very similar to that. And you've got to make sure that you're checking in with yourself and making sure that all four of those pillars of wellness are as strong as they possibly can be. And now we all go through times and circumstances where we struggle, and that's okay. But I think the most important thing is to check in with yourself. So those four pillars are: number one, movement. So I don't talk about exercise. Not everybody wants to go run a marathon like Clay, but any kind of movement. You know, movement is really, really important. We have to move our bodies. Our bodies were made to move, right? We were hunters
Hmm.
and gatherers. That's how we're kind of genetically we're made up, is to move. So that's the first thing, is physical movement. Number two is nutrition. And I don't want to use the word diet, but getting the right nutrients into your body. And your body is like a car, like a really high-end Bugatti, Maserati, whatever kind of sports car you want to think of. And you're not going to go for a long drive. You're not going to drive out to the East Coast without the right fuel. And you're certainly, if you have a really high-end car, you're not going to put regular fuel in that car either. You're going to put premium fuel in because you want it to perform at its maximum top performance level. And your body is the same. You really, truly are what you eat. So nutrition is the second of those four pillars. The third pillar is your rest. Believe it or not, rest is as important enough to be one of those four pillars. And I'm not just talking about resting your body, I'm talking about sleep and how important sleep really truly is to your mental health, but also to your blood pressure, to your cardiovascular health, to your libido, to every single aspect of your body that you may not even realize. And it's that deep REM, rapid eye movement sleep. And it's getting a good at least 6 hours a day, going to sleep as it gets dark, waking up as it gets light. You know, people who are on shift work, they have a struggle with this sometimes, right? Because they're not sleeping and waking with circadian rhythms of night and dark like our bodies are made to, especially as we get older, it's harder. So that sleep and rest. And the other thing component with rest is resting your body and resting your mind. Call it meditation, call it playing a musical instrument, reading a book, doing something artistic. You know, you need to kind of bring your mind down to from that hyper kind of mode to something that's calming. And everybody has something that calms them. And, you know, we need to do that a little bit more often. And so then the fourth pillar is your relationships. And, you know, some people call it mental health, but I think that's too, you know, what it really means is your relationship, not only with your spouse, with your children, with your neighbors, with your friends at work, with your friends at home, but also your relationship with yourself, right? And that's really important. We don't talk about that a lot. We don't really think about the relationship we have with ourselves. Do we love ourselves? Do we appreciate ourselves? Do we look at gratitude? You know, what is the relationship we have with ourselves? What's our self-confidence like? And our anxiety levels. So those are the four pillars that I kind of expand on when I'm talking. And those are the four things that I think people, especially during this pandemic, could really think about and check in with themselves, right? I think we all know how to eat healthy in general. We all know, you know, to come off of our phones and our iPads and our tablets and our TVs, you know, at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and avoid that blue light. We know what to do, I think. We've heard it. But like Tony Robbins, he has a great quote: knowledge is not power, action is power. And I was saying this in a seminar today on men's health for the Township of Centre Wellington. Buying those supplements and putting them on the kitchen table is not going to do, and we're all guilty of this, right? I buy that protein and I put it in the cupboard and then I don't use it. And having that knowledge on how to eat healthy and what to do, that's not power, it's acting on it, right? So we need to act on it. So knowledge isn't power, action is power. And I think we have to remember that as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. My left brain, almost fully left brain engineering mind loves numbered lists. So 4 pillars really works for me. And I remember a long time ago, I was a self-improvement junkie for the 90s, right? Everyone was listening to cassette tapes. I learned about self-hypnosis, and I wanted to be a better golf player. So physical visualization, which is huge even for me now as a runner. But a lot of that self-improvement stuff focused on your relationship with yourself, and you kind of touched on that, right? People don't think about that all that often, or as often as they should, I guess. And our relationship with ourselves, we absolutely can change. Yeah, it's not like, well, I'm stuck with myself and I just have to live with myself, right? And it's not like you're in a forced relationship. It's there, and you can improve it, right?
Absolutely. And I think that negative self-talk and turning negative self-talk into positive self-talk. One of my good friends, Laura May Culver, she's a social worker, and she's the author of The Power of the Joy Journal. And I love the Joy Journal. I deal with the Joy Journal with my work colleagues and on like all sorts of different corporate events, because it's all about changing that self-talk from positive to negative. You know, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be successful. I am successful. And it's like the secret, right? The power of intention, putting that intention out there. I am, right? Using the word I am instead of I'm not good enough. I am good enough, right? And that positive self-talk, and also really looking at what you're grateful for I think is really important. And one of the things that I've actually done with my children is gone to the dollar store and put a little whiteboard that you can just kind of glue on with some Velcro on the wall. And every day at some point during the day, they take their little whiteboard marker and they write one thing that they're grateful for. And you know what? We get a lot of video games and hamburgers and, things like that. But, every now and again, they really kind of blow me away with something that they're grateful for. And I think it's good to be mindful of that. Even children that age, especially during this time, to just one word, one thing a day, grateful for.
Yeah, and that can be a powerful habit that they may not have the opportunity to learn later on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things I remember a long time ago thinking about numbered lists and so on. I remember 7 aspects of life to really have my life in order. There's these 7 aspects, and I think I got it from a book, the seven something of some.
7 habits of highly effective living.
There was that. No, it was related to that, but it was that the categories were financial, spiritual, relationship, and so on. But that's much more of a whole life now and future thing, as opposed to our own physical and mental health, right? But
yes,
yeah, this is awesome, and it's 4 pretty simple pillars. The concepts are pretty simple, but the actions to take care of those can also be fairly simple, but really effective, right?
definitely. Yeah. And it's just making that commitment, right? Making that time. And that's one thing that we have now more than ever before in most cases, not all cases, is we tend to have a bit more time. It's how we use it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So, some notes. I prepared some notes, and forgot to print them, but no worries.
I would love to share the campaign that you mentioned a bit about Share Your Silver Lining.
Oh yes, that would be great.
A little bit about that. So it was interesting because before Christmas in November, I'm a realtor and one of my good friends is a mortgage broker. And with the second lockdown, we were pretty frustrated because we're both used to going to the gym. And so Jen and I decided we'd go for walks twice a week or 3 times a week. And we would walk kind of, social distance. And it ended up being quite a great experience because we couldn't get to the gym, but we were still walking. We were socializing, which is one thing that, we'd given up a lot with a lot of other friends. And it was COVID friendly. We were talking about business. We were talking about personal. And we were getting exercise, which was awesome. And it was helpful to our mental health. We'd walk on the trails in the woods. And as we were walking and talking one of the days, we talked about, the pandemic not going away and how important mental health is and how we want to do something for our community. And we want to do something to raise awareness and even funds for community mental health within our community. And we wanted to focus on shopping local with the small retailers that were really struggling from the lockdown. So in January, we launched Share Your Silver Lining, which is a Facebook and an Instagram. And we ended up doing a website as well, shareyoursilverlining.ca, which actually has resources for people that are struggling as well.
Okay,
and
nice.
what Share Your Silver Lining is all about is every week we had a local business donate some kind of a prize, whether it was a gift card or a basket, to anybody that shared their story of something positive that happened over the last year during the pandemic. Because you know what, the last year has been so hard for so many of us, but there's been some beautiful, incredible stories that have been shared on this Facebook page and on Instagram. And I'll give you an example. One of these stories was actually about a lady that didn't have family, and she was very lonely, and she was hearing all about, people reconnecting with family on Zoom and, FaceTime. And so she decided to take the time during lockdown to do some ancestry research, and she used ancestry.com, and she was actually able to reconnect or connect with family that she didn't even know she had.
Oh, wow.
And then another person had pulled out some videos, old family videos, and found some beautiful videos that they didn't even know they had about with their father who had passed away and never met the kids. So these things, I get shivers talking about it.
Yeah.
But stories were shared in a matter of a few sentences, like just a Facebook post. Some people shared a picture. Others just wrote the post. It's a community page. Anybody can go on it. And so everybody that shares their story, even if it's just a few sentences, gets entered into a draw that week to win that prize from the local business. And you don't have to share your story. Not everybody is comfortable with sharing. So the other component is if you donate to CMHA on the link that goes direct to Canadian Mental Health Association, you also get a chance to win. So some people would share their story and, donate as little as $10, but that still entered them to win. And every week they get entered. And then at the very end, they have an opportunity to win a grand prize. So everybody that's entered throughout the whole course gets an opportunity to win a grand prize, which is an overnight stay and spa credit from a local spa.
Wow,
so
nice.
Yeah, so the Allura Mill jumped on, and at this point, Hockley Valley is the one that is the grand prize. So not only does it, feature local businesses one a week, but it also focuses on shopping local. It focuses on, raising some awareness and inspiring people to look at the positives during this time, which I think is really, really important.
Yeah, it's funny when the third wave was hitting the press. I really thought, did anyone know that there was going to be more than one wave? When the second wave was made public, I didn't know there was going to be a third wave. So I had to do some research about the Spanish flu. There were 3 waves. They didn't tell us at the start. Anyway, yeah, it's been a discouraging year. And as a mental health advocate, my inbox often gets links to news articles on mental health, and a lot of them aren't very good. So just the bad news about our mental health condition is discouraging. So I read the headlines of the bad news, and I read the whole articles of the ones that are showing promise and good news. So share your silver lining is awesome in a really difficult time for a lot of people. There's still a lot that many of us can be grateful for, right?
Yeah, a lot of people got puppies this year and had more time to spend with their kids because they were at home. There's so many positives that have actually come out of this, right? So I think it's good to acknowledge those positive things.
Yeah, for sure. So the Camino, what's the latest tentative, maybe sort of plans on completing that?
Well, I have to retrain my body again.
I was thinking that it's not something that you do on a month's notice, right?
No, you don't roll out of bed and go walk the Camino, that's for sure.
No.
So, I think at this point, the most important thing to me is to plan a time where I know it's not going to be canceled, and I know it's going to be safe to do so. Because who knows, maybe the albergues, which are these little youth hostels that we stay in when we do the Camino, maybe they're never going to be the same again, right?
Yeah,
because of the pandemic. So, there's a lot kind of out there. I think I've really focused my time on this Share Your Silver Lining campaign, and one of the newest initiatives is we're doing a suicide awareness benefit concert, which is a drive-in concert. And Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo is going to be playing trio. And that's on June 25th in Mansfield, which is in the Malmer area.
Okay.
So once again, there's a lot of businesses that are jumping on board to help sponsor and promote. And, there's a few really cool opening acts. Ken Cameron, who owns Remax in Kitchener, his son unfortunately passed away a year ago from suicide, and he was a very, very up and coming country music singer. He had a contract in Nashville, and his sister and his band are going to be doing some presentation as well at this drive-in concert. So 100% of the funds go to Suicide Awareness Council of Waterloo, Wellington, Dufferin. And so I've been really kind of focusing on those initiatives that we can make happen. And you know what? The Camino, it will happen when the time is right, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mansfield, Ontario. That's kind of cool. I ran a 48-hour race across the road from the ski hill.
Wow, well,
Yeah,
that's where the concert's going to be.
Yeah,
It's going to be up the ski hill.
Oh, cool. Yeah, just across the road, it was
the Mansfield Outdoor Center.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes up and down the hill as well. But yeah, 61,000 feet in 48 hours.
Sounds like fun.
That's vertical. Yeah. But yeah, cool. That sounds really good. I'll definitely be sharing the info for that when this video gets posted. This is that's really good. So part of the training I'd mentioned earlier that I've been through the peer trauma support training that Mood Disorder Society helps put on. And I'm not a therapist, not a counselor. I wanted to get kind of a handle on how I might be able to help an individual person, right? And suicide prevention is not part of that peer support. When it gets to a point where that's needed, there's a referral and a handoff to some more qualified people, and that's a little bit scary for me, right? I think we definitely need some more help in those areas. I've had a couple people call me out of the blue saying I'm really struggling. Where do I get help? And we don't have enough places that offer help. So all the support we can raise in that area is going to help someone, right? That's important.
Absolutely. I know CMHA courses. I took the Safe Talk course, which is,
Okay.
you know, being able to identify with people that are struggling. And I took one called Ask as well, which anybody can take. But I know Canadian Mental Health Association puts those on. So it's nice to be able to have those resources. And I know CMHA actually did the Safe Talk course with the whole township office of Centre Wellington. The township paid for all their employees to take that course, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I just became aware a few months ago that mental health first aid was a thing, was a course you could take. There was that was unheard of a few years ago, right? So
yeah.
Cool. I think that's about all I've got to talk about, unless there's something else you wanted to go over or mention before we call it a day.
That's great, Clay. Thank you for the opportunity for me to be here today and share the initiatives that we have going on. It's really important, and it's nice to be able to get the word out there into the communities.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely share it with our audience and our extended audience. We're on YouTube and Instagram, and we publicize our stuff on Facebook and Twitter and all the social things. So, all right. Wonderful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you spending your time with us. Thank you.